raised me, it's my rebel attitude. I'm a southern born and bred. I got sweet home Alabama buzzing all around in my head.
I'm riding home in Georgia.
I'm riding home in Georgia, down in Carolina. I'd be happy any place below the Mason-Dixon line. Well, I'm working in a sweat until I hear the whistle blow. Got that country rocker cooking on my pickup radio. I rush up for a shower and put on my dancing shoes, and I get the Friday fever and the Sunday morning blues, and I'm a southern boy. I like a rowdy crowd. We're gonna see if it's on the jukebox and turn this up way up loud.
Don't need a reservation.
Don't need no reservations, we just having fun. But it's party time and Dixie, y'all just come on down and get the sun. Rockingham to Birmingham, Mobile to New Orleans, and Jacksonville to Copper Hill, Pike to Bowling Green, Lafayette, Somerset, the Blue to Rocky Mount. If you don't live in Dixie, then you're only camping out, and I'm a southern boy. I say my sirs and lambs. I kind of rub around the edges, but I'm mighty proud of who I am.
Roll on, Mississippi.
Roll on, Mississippi. Rock on, Tennessee. Enough for Elvis, you know it's good enough for me. If it's good enough for Elvis, you know it's good enough for me. But if the king was crazy about it, then you know it's good enough for me. The sun was shining, I was laid in bed, wondering if she had changed it all, if her hair was still red. Folks said that our lives together sure was gonna be rough. Never did like Mama's homemade dress, Papa Plankbook was never enough. And I was standing on the side of the road, rain falling on my shoes, headed out for the East Coast. Hey, you know I paid some dues to getting through. Well, she was married when we first met, soon to be divorced. And I helped her out of a jam, I guess, but I used a little too much force. So we drove that car as far as we could and abandoned it out west. Split up on the coast that night, but believing it was best. She turned around and looked at me as I was walking away. And I heard her say over my shoulder, we'll meet again someday on the avenue. Tangled up in bed. Job in the Great North Woods, working as a cook for a spell. But I never did like it all that much, and one day the axe just fell. So I drifted on down to New Orleans, where I happened to be employed, working for a while on a fishing boat just outside of Delacroix. And all the time I was out alone, and the past was close behind. And I seen a lot of women, but she never escaped my mind. And I just grew tangled up in blue. But she was working at the doctor's barn. I stopped in Port Bear. I just kept looking at the side of the face in the spotlight so clear. And then later on, as the crowd thinned down, I was just about to do the same. She was standing there in back of my chest, said, "Don't I know your name?" And I muttered something under my breath. She studied the lines on my face. I must admit, I felt a little uneasy when she bent down and tied the laces of my shoes. Tangled up in blue. It is so good to be back in Jacksonville, Florida, and to be part of Frank and Graham Crusade down here. It's just been a great time, and I so much enjoyed hearing Franklin bring the word today. And we're playing secular music, and we're gonna do some gospel songs. I want to tell you why we're doing that. That's what they wanted us to play. There's nothing wrong with secular music. There's something wrong with some secular music, but there's nothing wrong with secular music. And that's how I make my living. And I want to play some of our secular music for you. I want to, some places we go, we have to explain this song that we're going to do for you. But I would never take it upon myself to try to tell anybody in Florida what a swamp is. You know? But let me do it like as if I was doing it in Long Island, okay? I say something like, I was born down in the low grounds of North Carolina over on the coast. And it's a strange phenomenon that takes place down there over a period of thousands of years. This big holes come in the ground. And water goes in there. And bugs. And skeeters. And snakes. And gators. And boogers. You got to be Southern to know what a booger is, right? We wrote a song about one of them a few years back. We'd like to do it for you today. This is called The Legend of Woody Swamp. Some things in this world we just can't explain. The old man lived in the woody swamp way back in Booger Woods. He never did do a lot of harm in the world. He just never did do no good. And people didn't think too much of him. They all thought he acted funny. But that old man, he didn't care about people anyway. All he cared about was his money. He'd stuff it all down into mason jars and bury it all around. And on certain nights, if the moon was right, he'd dig it up out of the ground. And then he'd pour it all out on the floor of his shack, and he'd run his fingers through it. Yeah, Lucius Clay was a greedy old man, that's all that there was to it. But I couldn't believe it. I just had to find out for myself, and I couldn't conceive it. I never would listen to nobody else, and I couldn't believe it. I just had to find out for myself. Now there's something in this world you just can't explain. Kegel boys is white trash. You lived over on Carver's Creek. And they were mean as a snake, sneaky as a cat, and belligerent when you speak. One night the oldest brother said, y'all meet me in the wood of Swamp later, and I'll take old Lucius his money and we'll just feed him to the alligator. Found the old man out in the back with a shovel in his hand. 13 rusty mason jars he just dug up out of the sand. And then they all went crazy and they beat the old man and they picked him up off the ground. And then they threw him in the swamp and stood there and laughed as the black water sucked him down. Then they turned around, they went back to the shack, picked up the money and ran. They hadn't gone nowhere when they realized that they were running in quicksand. And they struggled and they screamed, but they couldn't get away. And just before they went under, they could hear that old man laughing in a voice as loud as thunder. That's been 50 years ago, and you can go by there yet. And there's a spot in the yard in the back of that shack where the ground is always wet. And on certain nights, if the moon is right down by that dark footpath, you can hear 3 young men screaming, and you can hear one old man laugh. Yeah, but go back into Woody Swamp, you better not go at night. There's things out there that bitterly moves to make a strong man die and cry. Things that crawl and things that fly, things that creep around on the ground, and the same the ghost of Lucius Clay. It's out and he walks around, but I couldn't believe it. I just had to find out for myself, and I couldn't conceive it. I never would have listened to nobody else, and I couldn't believe it. I just had to find out for myself. Now there's some things in this world you just can't explain. Yeah, there's some things in this world you just can't explain. So very much. I wanted to spell a rumor, if I could, please. The one that's going around that said that last October 28th, I celebrated my 40th birthday. Let's add a few years to that. I was 5 years old when Pearl Harbor was bombed. And the town I'm from, Wilmington, North Carolina, is a seaport town. And it was a very strategic part of the country because we had ships that sailed out of our harbors with cargo and petroleum for supplies for our troops over in Europe. And as they sailed out the mouth of the Cape Fear River and out into the ocean, they were sunk by German U-boats. Sometimes so close to our shores, it was said you could see the fires of battle from the beach. The war was very real to us because it was in the days before satellite surveillance and all the communication gear that we have nowadays, and we never knew when the Germans, being that close, were going to try to bring the war on shore, so we took it all very seriously. We had air raid drills and blackouts and rationing, and I learned very early in my life that only 2 things protect America: Almighty God and the United States military. We have had the honor of being among our men and women in uniform in some pretty desolate parts of the world here in the last few years. I want to tell you something, folks. No matter if you find them at a base in this country or some hellhole over in Afghanistan or Iraq, they're the best we've got. There are no finer Americans than the ones you see in uniform. And we owe them an unpayable debt of gratitude. And not just to the folks who are on active duty now, but also to all of our veterans, our National Guard, and our Reserve. And this afternoon, in a feeble but heartfelt gesture saying thank you, we'd like to dedicate this next song to anybody who is, was, or will be in our military. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Saying that America's fixing to fall. But speaking just for me and some people from Tennessee, we've got everything our two to tell y'all. Now this here lady may have stumbled, she ain't never failed. If our enemies don't believe that, they can all just jump and yell. We're gonna put her feet back on the paths of righteousness and then God bless America again. You never did think that it ever would happen again. And to be a good kid, you never did think that we'd ever get together again. We sure did fool you, but we're real proud of my turning it loud again. Here in the miracle, you never did think that it ever would happen again. From the sound up in Long Island, at San Francisco Bay, and everything that's in between them is our own. And we may have done just a little bit fighting amongst ourselves, but y'all outside people best leave us alone. Cause we'll all stick together, and you take that duty back. As the cowboys and the hippies, and the rebels and the Yanks, just go and put your hand on a Jacksonville Jaguar fan, and I think you're gonna finally understand. And you never did think that it ever would happen again. If you're a good kid, you never did think that we'd ever get together again. We ain't joking, you're walking real proud of me, talking real loud again. Here in America, you never did think that it ever would happen again. Amazing grace, how sweet the sound that has saved a wretch like me. I once was lost, but now I'm found. I was blind, but now I see. 'twas grace that taught my old heart to beat, and grace my fears relieved. Oh, how that grace appeared in the hour I baby first believed. Amazing grace, how sweet the sound that saved a wretch like me. Was lost, but now I'm found. Was blind, but now I see. When we've been there 10,000 years, bright shining as the sun, we'll have no less day to sing our God's praise. And when we very first begun, everybody in the building knows this song. Sing it with me, come on. Amazing grace, how sweet the sound that saved a wretch like me. I was lost, but now I'm found. Was blind, but now I see. And I was blind, but now, thank God I can see. Thank you so very much. I appreciate it. When I first went to Nashville back in 1967, I was just another young man who showed up in Music City to try to make it with a guitar and a dream. It's a tough competitive town. It was then, it is now. And you don't run into very many superstars at that stage of your life. But I did run into one several times, and he went out of his way to be nice to me and make me feel good for no other reason. That was just the kind of a man he was. I'll never forget what that meant to me at that time in my life. And I think such greatness deserves to be remembered. And this afternoon, we'd like to pay tribute to one of the greatest. Well, I hear that train a-comin', just rolling around the bend. I ain't seen the sunshine since I don't know when. I'm stuck in Folsom Prison. Time keeps dragging on. And that old train keeps on rolling on down the side and down. Well, I bet there's rich folks eating in a fancy dining car, probably drinking coffee and smoking big cigars. Well, I know I had it coming. I know I can't be free. But all them people keep on moving, and that's what tortures me. Just a baby, my mama told me, son, now you always be a good boy. Don't you ever play with guns. But I shot a man in Jacksonville just to watch him die. He's a Pittsburgh Steelers fan. When I hear that whistle blow, when I hang my head and cry. Free me from this prison if that railroad train was mine. I better move it all just a little bit further on down the line. I mean far from Folsom Prison. That's where I long to stay. And I just let that lonesome whistle blow my blues away. Yeah, I just let that lonesome whistle blow my blues away. Oh, Lord, my God, when I, in awesome wonder, consider all the worlds thy hands have made. I see the sun, I hear the rolling thunder, thy power throughout when Christ shall come with sounds like lamentation and takes me home. Oh, what joy shall fill my heart. Then I will bow in humble adoration and proclaim, oh my God, how great thou art. This sings my soul, my Savior God, to thee. How great thou art! How great thou art! This sings my soul, my Savior God, to thee. How great thou art! How great thou art! Very much. I'm going to invite a dear friend and brother of mine out to do this next song with us. One of the finest guitar players that I know, and I know a lot of them. Ladies and gentlemen, would you please welcome Mr. Dennis Agajanian. You ready, bro? All right. Y'all feel like singing along to this and do it. But now one glad morning, when this life is o'er, I'll fly away to a land on God's celestial shore. I'll fly away, and I'll fly away, oh glory. I'll fly away in the morning when I die. Hallelujah, bye bye. I'll fly away. Well, now when the shadows of this life that flow, I'll fly away like a bird from prison bars is blown. I'll fly away, and I'll fly away, oh glory. I'll fly away in the morning when I die. Hallelujah, bye bye. I'll fly away, Mr. Dennis. just like a bird from prison by the blow. I'll fly away, and I'll fly away, oh, I'll fly away till the morning when I die. I'll leave my body. I'll fly away. One more time, children. I'll fly away, oh, I'll fly away till the morning when I die. I'll leave my body. One of these mornings I'm gonna rise up early. I'm gonna walk outside. I'm gonna spread my wings and I'm gonna fly away. Dennis Avagelian, stay here, bro. Play this last one with us, okay? I debated about doing this song because it's got the devil in the title. But what we're doing today is kicking the devil anyway, right? Let's kick him a little bit more. Well, now the devil went down to Georgia. He was looking for a soul to steal. He was in a bind because he was way behind. He was willing to make a deal. When he came across this young man sitting on the fiddle and playing it hot, the devil jumped aboard the hickory stump and said, "Boy, let me tell you what. You probably didn't even know it, but I'm a fiddle player too. And if you care to take it there, I'll just make a bet with you. Now, you play a pretty good fiddle, boy, but let's give the devil his due. I bet this fiddle of gold against your soul will think I'm better than you." Boy said, "My name's Johnny, and it might be a sin. I'm gonna take your bet and you go and grab, 'cause I'm the best it's ever been." Johnny, you brought it up your bow and play your fiddle hard, 'cause hell's in Georgia and the devil is a card. If you and you get this shiny fiddle, better go. If you lose, the devil gets your soul. His case and he said, "I'll start this show and fire." Blew from his fingertips, he rolled with his bow, and then he pulled his bow across the strings and made evil hiss. And then the man and demons joined in and said something like this. Johnny said, "You know, you're pretty good, old son. But you flop down in that chair and I'll show you how this stuff's done." Round the mountain, run, ball, run. Devil's in the house, sit right inside. Chicken in the bridge, better pick it out, no. Better just rock by no child, no. son. Well, that old devil bowed his head because he knew that he'd been beat. He went and laid that golden fiddle down on the ground at Johnny's feet. Johnny said, devil, you just come on back if you ever want to try again. I done told you once, you son of a gun, I'm the best that's ever been. He played Devil in the house in the rising sun. Singing in rhythm and picking out dough. Ready to shoot off like no child love.